Welcome to Cosmic Bedtime. Tonight, let your mind drift among the stars, as we explore the silence of the cosmos together. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, wondered about the stars blinking back, and asked yourself the oldest question humanity has ever known: are we alone? Not just alone in our city, or our country, or even on our planet, but alone in this vast, dark, stretching infinity we call the universe. It's a question that has haunted poets, scientists, and philosophers alike, a question that whispers to us every time we stare into the black velvet sky, a question that gets louder the quieter the universe seems. The stars are countless, billions upon billions of them, scattered across the observable cosmos, and with them billions of planets, some fiery and hostile, some frozen in eternal stillness, but some perhaps not too different from Earth. So where is everyone? Why haven't we seen alien spacecraft flying through our skies? Why haven't we picked up a clear radio signal from a distant world? Why does space remain so eerily silent? Despite its unimaginable size, this is what scientists call the Fermi Paradox, a paradox born not from a lack of evidence, but from an overwhelming expectation. With so many stars, so many planets, so much time, life, it seems, should be everywhere. So where is it? Let's go back a little. In the summer of 1950, a group of brilliant minds gathered at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Among them was a physicist named Enrico Fermi, already world-famous for his work on nuclear reactions. During lunch, the group was discussing UFOs, aliens, and a recent cartoon in the New Yorker that joked about aliens stealing trash cans in New York City. It was then that Fermi, almost absent-mindedly, blurted out a question: where is everybody? It was a simple question, but one that sliced through the humor like a laser. The room fell silent, because no one had a good answer. Let's look at the numbers. There are about 100 to 200 billion galaxies in the observable universe. Each of those galaxies contains hundreds of billions of stars, and around many of those stars are planets, some rocky, some gaseous, some in what we call the habitable zone, where liquid water, and possibly life, could exist. In fact, scientists estimate that in our Milky Way galaxy alone, there could be as many as 40 billion Earth-like planets. That's right, 40 billion worlds that might have the right ingredients for life as we know it. So again, where is everyone? We've been listening, for decades now. Massive radio telescopes like Arecibo and the Allen Telescope Array have scanned the skies for signs of intelligent life, beacons, signals, anything. We've sent messages too, golden records with greetings in many languages, mathematical signals, radio waves beamed into the stars, but all we've heard is silence. It's not just quiet. It's uncannily quiet. It's like entering a huge party, expecting laughter and music, only to find every room completely still, and wondering if you've arrived too early, or too late. Here's why the Fermi Paradox hurts. It's not that aliens are hiding, it's that, statistically, they should be out there, even if intelligent civilizations are rare, even if they rise and fall over time. The universe is so big and so old, that some of them should have made contact with us. Some of them should have colonized nearby systems, sent probes, built structures we could see, yet the skies remain still, and that stillness echoes louder than any explosion. This is only the beginning. In the parts to come, we'll explore the theories, the possible answers, the hopeful ones, the terrifying ones, the ones that make us feel small, and the ones that make us feel special. So, tonight, as you close your eyes, and let your thoughts drift gently beyond Earth, beyond the Moon, past Mars and the outer planets. Ask yourself, what if the answer to Fermi's question has been inside us all along? Let's imagine something together. You're floating gently. Not in a bed, but in space, surrounded by stars so numerous they no longer feel like dots, but a cosmic ocean of flickering light, each star a sun, each sun with the potential for planets, and each planet perhaps a home. The deeper we look into the cosmos, the clearer it becomes. Our universe is bursting with possibility. In 1961, a radio astronomer named Frank Drake attempted to put numbers to the mystery. He created an equation to estimate the number of active, communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in our galaxy. It looked complicated at first, but at its heart, it was simple. Start with the number of stars, then multiply by the fraction of stars that have planets, then how many of those planets are habitable, then how many develop life, then intelligent life, then civilizations, then civilizations that last long enough to say hello. Drake wasn't trying to solve the paradox, he was trying to make us think, to move the conversation from fantasy to numbers, from fear to curiosity. If even 1 in a million Earth-like planets developed intelligent life, the Milky Way alone could be teeming with civilizations, hundreds, thousands, maybe more. For centuries, Earth was thought to be unique. We didn't know if there were other planets, let alone other Earths. Then came NASA's Kepler Space Telescope. From 2009 to 2018, Kepler stared at a patch of sky, smaller than the palm of your hand held at arm's length. Within that tiny patch, it discovered over 2,600 exoplanets, some hot, some cold, and some just right. This revolutionized our understanding of the cosmos. Suddenly, planets weren't rare, they were everywhere. Today, we believe that nearly every star in the galaxy has at least one planet orbiting it. That means there are over 100 billion planets in the Milky Way, and at least 40 billion of them could be in the Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water. So, life has the stage, the ingredients, the time. What's missing? Let's return to Earth for a moment. Here, life thrives in the strangest places, at the bottom of the ocean, where sunlight never reaches, in volcanic vents, bubbling with toxic chemicals, inside Arctic ice, frozen for millennia, even floating in the upper atmosphere, kissed by radiation. If life can take hold in such extremes here, why not elsewhere? Maybe life isn't rare at all, maybe life is the rule, not the exception. Maybe the cosmos is full of strange oceans, alien microbes, and distant forests we can't yet see, and maybe, somewhere, on a blue world circling a quiet sun, there's someone looking up at their night sky, wondering if they are alone. But let's think bigger, not just about space, but about time. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, and modern humans have been around for only about 300,000 years. Our entire history of broadcasting radio signals, just over 100 years, a blink. Now imagine, what if another civilization had a 100,000-year head start? Or 1 million? Or 1 billion? What would they be capable of? Would they even use radio? Would they even be biological anymore? Would they care to communicate with us at all, or perhaps they're long gone, extinct before we even lit our first fire? Even if intelligent life is out there, distance is not on our side. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, is 4.37 light-years away. That's over 25 trillion miles. With our fastest spacecraft, it would take tens of thousands of years to get there. So even if aliens are nearby in a cosmic sense, they are still unfathomably far, and if they send us a message today, it might not arrive for decades. Centuries, or longer. Space is big, so big that it can hide entire civilizations in its folds, so big that even screaming across it can sound like silence. And then there's us. Perhaps the paradox says more about us than about the universe. We're still new at this. Our technology, our methods, our understanding of physics, all are in their infancy. Maybe we're not listening the right way. Maybe the signals are too complex, too subtle, too alien. Or maybe we're simply not interesting enough yet. Perhaps a civilization needs to pass certain milestones before it becomes worthy of contact. Perhaps the universe is like a library, where no one is allowed to speak, until they've earned their place among the grown-ups. Are we still toddlers, fumbling with cosmic crayons, and wondering why no one's answering? So we return to the quiet, the sky that watches but doesn't reply, the stars that shine but don't speak. It can be a lonely feeling, but it can also be comforting, because within that silence lies potential, a story not yet told, a meeting not yet had, a friend not yet found. The universe is teeming with light, with matter, with wonder, and perhaps with life. And maybe, just maybe, the quiet is just the pause before the first hello. Silence can be soothing, a warm quietness before sleep, the calm after a storm, the gentle stillness of a forest covered in snow, but in space. Silence is different. It doesn't feel peaceful, it feels infinite, eternal, almost deliberate. The deeper we peer into the night, the more certain we become of its silence, and that silence is not just the absence of sound, it's the absence of contact, of company, of confirmation. It's a whisper that never arrives, a knock that is never answered, and it makes us wonder, is anyone else out there really listening? Since the 1960s, astronomers have been pointing massive radio telescopes at the sky, hoping to catch the faintest whisper from intelligent life. We call this the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI. We've scanned thousands of stars. We've searched for patterns in radio noise. We've analyzed frequencies most likely to carry intelligent signals. We've even sent messages ourselves. Broadcasts like the famous Arecibo message, beamed toward the star cluster M13 in 1974. It was a binary-coded message, telling of our DNA, our solar system, and our species. But even if it's received, we won't hear back for 50,000 years, the time it takes for the message to get there and return. We are, very much, talking into the dark. In 1977, a signal did arrive. A strong, narrowband radio signal was picked up by the Big Ear radio telescope in Ohio. It was loud, clear, and it lasted for 72 seconds. Astronomer Jerry Emmons circled it on the computer printout and wrote, "Wow." The name stuck. The wow signal came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, from no known satellite or Earth-based source. And then, it never came again. No repetition, no confirmation, just a single, lonely signal from the stars, a whisper, a mystery, a maybe. To this day, it remains unexplained. Some say it was a fluke, others believe it may have been the first true message, lost in the endless background noise. What if we're not alone, but simply being ignored? This is the idea behind the zoo hypothesis, a theory suggesting that advanced alien civilizations are aware of us, but choose not to interact. Like humans observing animals in a protected sanctuary, they watch us quietly, studying our development, but never intervening. Perhaps they've decided we're not ready. Perhaps they fear disrupting our natural evolution, or perhaps they've made a collective agreement, a galactic quarantine, to let young civilizations grow on their own. It's a disturbing thought, that we are not alone, but are deliberately isolated, not because we're unworthy, but because we're unfinished. The philosopher Nick Bostrom once described the absence of alien contact as the Great Silence. It's not just an observation, it's a cosmic scream wrapped in a vacuum. If the universe is so old, so vast, and life is so likely, then silence becomes more than strange, it becomes terrifying, because silence implies answers, and some of those answers are dark. One explanation is that intelligent life destroys itself before it can reach the stars: nuclear war, environmental collapse, uncontrolled artificial intelligence, pandemics. These are the filters that may stand between a species and its chance to join the galactic conversation. We call this the Great Filter, a theoretical barrier that prevents life from advancing beyond a certain point. It may lie behind us, in the odds of life forming, or becoming intelligent, or it may lie ahead of us. If it lies ahead, then the silence we hear is not emptiness, but tombstones, echoes of civilizations that reached too far, too fast, and vanished before they could say hello. Sometimes, the scariest thing isn't what we see, it's what we don't see. The dark forest theory, made popular by Liu Cixin's novel The Three-Body Problem, suggests that all civilizations stay quiet, because the universe is a dangerous place. Imagine a forest at night, every creature hiding in silence, afraid to make a sound, because the moment you're heard, you might be hunted. In this view, staying quiet is survival. Shouting into space is a risk, and silence is safety, if true. Then our messages, our broadcasts, our golden records, may be foolish beacons in a quiet war zone, and the silence we hear is the silence of fear. But silence isn't always bad. Sometimes, silence is an open book, a canvas not yet painted, a question not yet answered. The silence of the stars may simply mean, we haven't met yet. Or, there's still so much more to discover. It invites us to wonder, to imagine, to keep looking, to keep listening, because the moment we stop searching, is the moment we truly become alone. In our search for cosmic neighbors, one concept looms quietly like a shadow behind the stars: the Great Filter, a barrier, a test, a silent gatekeeper that decides which civilizations thrive and which disappear. It's a theory born from discomfort, from the aching silence of the universe, because maybe the reason we don't hear anyone is because they're gone, or worse, because they never made it past the filter. But what is this Great Filter, and where is it? Behind us, before us, or right here with us now? Let's explore one of the most haunting possibilities in the Fermi Paradox. The journey from dust to thinking beings like us is long, uncertain, and full of improbable steps. Let's walk it together. 1. A stable star must form. 2. Around it, planets must coalesce. 3. Among them, one must land in the habitable zone. 4. That planet must have the right conditions for complex chemistry. 5. From those chemicals, life must emerge. 6. Life must survive and evolve into complex multicellular organisms. 7. Some of those must evolve into intelligent life. 8. That intelligent life must develop advanced technology. 9. Then, It must avoid destroying itself. 10. And finally, it must become interstellar, capable of exploration, colonization, and communication. Each step is a hurdle, each hurdle a possible filter, a point where many fail, and few, if any, pass. This is the hopeful version of the great filter, that we, humans, have already passed it. Maybe life itself is almost impossible, maybe, even with the right ingredients, the emergence of cells, DNA, replication, was such an improbable accident, that it almost never happens. Or perhaps life is common, but intelligence is not. Maybe dinosaurs ruled Earth for 150 million years. And none of them built a telescope. Maybe we're the exception, the one species out of trillions, that looked up at the sky, and wondered, if this is true, then we're rare, precious, a flicker of consciousness in a mostly unconscious universe, and that means, we must protect ourselves, cherish this moment, because the universe may never build another like us. Now for the darker possibility, what if life, intelligence, even technology, is common? What if the real filter is not behind us, but right in front of us? What if civilizations always reach a certain point, and then destroy themselves? Maybe it's nuclear war, or ecological collapse, or a loss of control over artificial intelligence, or something we can't even imagine yet, a silent self-destruct sequence hidden in the DNA of progress. If this is true, then the silence of the universe is not hopeful, it's a graveyard, a warning, a message whispered from extinct worlds. We were here, we saw the stars too, and then we fell. Consider this, it took humans 300,000 years to go from basic tools to space travel, but it only took decades to build bombs capable of wiping ourselves out. The smarter we get, the more dangerous we become, to each other, to our world, to our own future. So maybe intelligence isn't a gift, maybe it's a ticking clock, a race between wonder and self-destruction, and in that race, most civilizations lose. We don't have to look to aliens to understand collapse, just look at us. We've burned forests, melted ice caps, poisoned oceans, we've created weapons that can erase cities, we've connected the planet, but also created echo chambers of fear, hate, and misinformation. And yet, we've also painted caves, built cathedrals, discovered galaxies, saved lives, wrote poetry. We are a paradox ourselves. A species capable of creation and destruction, hope and despair. We walk a knife's edge, between reaching the stars, and becoming just another layer of dust. Let's imagine more filters, less dramatic, but just as final. What if faster-than-light travel is impossible? What if colonizing other worlds proves too difficult? What if interstellar communication is too slow to be meaningful? Or what if civilizations become bored, turn inward, lose interest in the cosmos? Not all civilizations end with a bang, some may simply fade, like songs no one remembers, like light swallowed by time. Here's a humbling thought. What if we are the great filter? What if we are the reason others stay silent? What if long ago, a fearful species decided to eliminate any civilization it detected, just to stay safe, and now we've inherited that habit, broadcasting, listening, but always preparing for conflict. Maybe the universe is quiet, because it's scared of us, or worse, because someone out there is still watching, and doesn't like what it hears. But maybe, just maybe, the silence is not doom, it's an opportunity. If the filter is ahead, then we have a chance to avoid it, to learn, to grow, to unite, to survive ourselves. And if it's behind us, then we carry a sacred duty, to be caretakers of consciousness, guardians of thought, messengers of life. The great filter is not just a theory, it's a mirror. It asks us who we are, who we want to become, what kind of future we're building. It reminds us that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of a choice. So as you drift to sleep tonight, wrapped in stardust and dreams, remember, we may be alone, we may be rare, we may be on the edge of something vast and dangerous, but we are here, and we are listening, and maybe, just maybe, someone, somewhere, is listening too. Let's imagine the story of the universe, as a giant cosmic clock. It starts ticking 13.8 billion years ago. At the moment of the Big Bang, galaxies spin into being, stars are born, planets form, and somewhere on one tiny world, life begins. Now imagine intelligence as a spark, a rare, flickering light, that appears only once in a while. On this grand clock, where does our spark fall? Are we among the first lights to shine, or one of the last? Are we early, waking up before anyone else, or are we late, wandering through a party that has already ended? This is one of the deepest questions of the Fermi Paradox. Let's start with a strangely comforting idea. We're among the first. Maybe the universe is still young. Maybe the ingredients for life are just now coming together. Maybe Earth got lucky with a stable sun, a magnetic shield, plate tectonics, and a giant moon to stabilize our tilt. Maybe all those just right conditions are so rare that we've simply beaten the odds. And now, here we are, looking around, calling out, finding no one. Yet, imagine walking into a museum before it opens. It's quiet, still, not because there's no one coming, but because you're early. You're there while the lights are being turned on, while the universe is still preparing its stage, while other life forms are still evolving, in oceans under alien suns. Maybe the silence is temporary. Maybe in 1,000,000 years, the galaxy will be buzzing with conversation, and will be remembered as one of the first voices to speak. If we are early, then we carry something precious, responsibility. We are the first chapter in a book not yet written, the prototype, the precedent, the seed of a future galactic civilization. Everything we do, every discovery, every failure, every act of kindness or cruelty, will shape the story of life in the cosmos. That's a heavy burden, but it's also an incredible honor, because if others come after us, they'll look to us. We could become the elders of the galaxy, the ones who lit the torch, the ones who remembered the stars when no one else did. Now let's explore the other possibility. What if we're not early? What if we're very, very late? What if civilizations have risen and fallen long before we ever built our first fire? The universe is old, so very old. There could have been empires of light that danced across galaxies before Earth had cooled enough to hold oceans. They may have explored, fought, loved, and faded, like fossils in time, lost forever. If that's true, then we are not the beginning, we're the afterglow, the echo, arriving at a party, long after the music has stopped. If ancient civilizations did exist, where are their ruins? Shouldn't we see megastructures, space debris, artificial signals? Maybe we have, and just don't know it. Maybe dark matter isn't matter at all, but leftover technology too advanced to comprehend. Maybe fast radio bursts, those brief, powerful flashes from distant galaxies, are dying echoes of their communication networks. Maybe they left signs, but we're too primitive to read them. After all, could a jellyfish understand a satellite? Could a squirrel interpret a Wi-Fi signal? Maybe we're like that, still learning the alphabet of the cosmos. There's another reason why we might seem alone: timing. Civilizations may come and go, but not at the same time. Imagine trying to talk to someone who lived 50,000 years before you. Even if they had technology, even if they built wonders, they're gone now. Their lights went out before ours flickered on. In a galaxy this big, separated by millions of light years and billions of years of history, maybe we all just miss each other. Ships in the dark, passing quietly, with no sails, no maps, and no words. What if life in the universe is cyclical? Civilizations rise, explore, reach their limits, and then fall, over and over again. Each wave builds upon the last, learning from ancient ruins, decoding old messages, evolving in new directions. Maybe we are part of that wave. Maybe we are the first of a new cycle. The last great era ended in silence, and we are the dawn that follows the dark. If so, then we must tread carefully. The universe may be watching, waiting, hoping we break the cycle, or fearing we won't. Being early means you carry the light, being late means you carry the memory. Either way, you matter, we matter, because we are the ones asking the question, searching the stars, writing this chapter, and the universe. It may not be answering, but it's listening. It always listens. Every heartbeat, every photon, every question whispered before sleep, becomes part of its story, and in the silence, we leave our mark. What if the silence of the universe isn't because no one is there, but because they're deliberately avoiding us? What if Earth is like an exhibit in a zoo, a protected space, observed from afar, studied, but never disturbed? This is the haunting idea behind the zoo hypothesis, a popular, and unsettling, solution to the Fermi Paradox. It suggests that we are not alone, we're just being quarantined. Imagine a civilization so advanced, that their technology is invisible to us. They can cloak their ships, hide their signals, and manipulate the fabric of space-time. To them, we might be fascinating creatures, unaware, primitive, still learning how to split atoms, and send probes to our moon. Why interfere? Why reveal themselves? Perhaps they've decided to watch silently, like scientists studying animals in the wild. Too much contact, too early, could damage us, just as we protect endangered species from excessive human interaction. They might be protecting us from themselves. In science fiction, there's a rule called the prime directive: advanced civilizations should not interfere with the natural development of younger ones. Maybe this isn't fiction, maybe it's the unspoken law of the galactic community. They wait until a species is mature, peaceful, united, and only then do they make contact. If that's true, then we might still be on trial. Our wars, our pollution, our inability to cooperate, might be the reasons why no one's knocked on our door. Yet, we're not alone, we're not ready. If extraterrestrials are here, where might they be hiding? Some suggest they could be living on Earth right now, in our oceans, deep underground, or in dimensions we haven't yet discovered. Think about how ants perceive the world. They crawl through grass, completely unaware of the airplanes flying above them, or the satellites orbiting their skies. To them, we are invisible gods. What if that's our situation too? Perhaps alien technology is all around us, just outside the range of our perception. Here's another possibility: they were here, but they've evolved beyond matter. Advanced civilizations might eventually leave physical form behind. They could become pure energy, quantum consciousness, or something beyond human understanding. They might exist in the folds of reality, between dimensions, watching our world like a dream. To us, they be gods, invisible, everywhere, nowhere. Maybe they no longer build cities. They build thoughts. Maybe they don't send messages. They send intuition. Ever felt a sudden sense of awe, while looking at the stars, a deep knowing that you're being watched gently, lovingly, patiently? Maybe that's them. Now, let's take it one step further. What if this entire universe is a simulation, created not by gods, but by a hyper-advanced civilization, running experiments in consciousness, physics, or sociology? We might be part of a massive, cosmic lab, every atom programmed, every law of physics, a line of code, and the creators, they're watching, recording, adjusting parameters. Maybe they intervene sometimes to test outcomes. Maybe that explains strange events, unexplained phenomena, and cosmic coincidences. Are we the main subject, or just one simulation among billions? And if they're watching, what do they hope will become? There's a darker twist to the zoo hypothesis. What if the silence isn't protection, but filtering? Maybe civilizations are tested, and only those that pass are welcomed into the galactic community. How do you pass? Perhaps by avoiding self-destruction, by mastering empathy, by becoming caretakers of your world, instead of its conquerors. Those who fail are left alone, ignored, forgotten. Maybe the silence is not kindness, maybe it's judgment. There may be a brief window in a civilization's life, when it's technologically advanced enough to send signals, but not yet advanced enough to hide. That might be our window. Right now, we're just beginning to reach out, sending radio waves, launching telescopes, listening. But eventually, we too may go silent, not because we're gone, but because we've learned how to hide, to blend into the cosmic static, to communicate in ways no one below a certain threshold can detect. So maybe the only ones we can hear are those like us, young, curious, and alone. It's a question that sits heavy in the night. When we stare at the stars, something inside us whispers, they're out there, not because we see them, but because the silence is too strange, too deep, too intentional. Perhaps we're like children on a playground, playing in innocence, while watchful eyes linger just beyond the fence, waiting, not to harm, not to help, just to see what we become, when no one tells us what to be. Imagine, for a moment, a theater stage, immense, silent, and dark. The curtain has just risen. No spotlight, no applause. Only us, standing there, wondering if we are the first actors to arrive. Or perhaps the last to remain. After contemplating the zoo hypothesis, where alien civilizations might be silently observing us from behind a cosmic veil, we now face another possibility, more haunting in its stillness. What if no one is watching? What if no one ever did? This is the question that hangs heavy in the minds of scientists and philosophers alike, not because it is loud, but because it is quiet. Too quiet. Underscore 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 underscore, the first sparks. If we are the first intelligent civilization to arise in the entire observable universe, then we are standing at the very beginning of a grand story, a prologue that no one else has written. It would mean that life, complex and conscious, is not only rare, it is new. Every telescope we point outward, every rover we send to distant planets, every signal we broadcast into the void. They are not just acts of exploration, they are acts of creation, like the first birds learning to sing, like the first eyes opening under starlight. We become the originators, the cosmic pioneers. The very first whispers of the universe becoming self-aware, but being first is not just glorious. It is also lonely, and terrifying, because if we are the first, there is no one to guide us, no one to warn us, no one to catch us if we fall. But what if? The opposite is true. What if others came before us, and failed? What if we are the last flickering light in a universe where billions once burned bright? In this view, the silence is not mystery, it is memory, the echo of civilizations long gone, each extinguished by war, by hubris, by silence, by time, and now, only we remain, a fragile species on a fragile world, spinning quietly in a darkness full of tombstones. To be the last would mean we carry the final story, the final chance for consciousness to survive. It is a burden heavy with responsibility, but also, perhaps, filled with grace. If we are alone, either as the first or the last, then the universe is a book being written with no readers, a symphony with no audience, a dream dreamt only once, or perhaps we are both reader and writer, both audience and composer. Perhaps we are meant not only to seek meaning, but to give it. If no one is watching, then the beauty we create, the kindness we show, the futures we build, they matter even more, because we are not doing it for them, we are doing it for us. To be first means we are the beginning, to be last means we are the memory. Either way, we are something the universe has never seen before, and that is beautiful. Silence can be terrifying, but it can also be sacred. After pondering whether we are the first to awaken or the last to remain, a deeper question begins to echo in the stillness: is this cosmic solitude a cruel joke, or a precious gift? To drift alone in a universe 93 billion light-years across, with no voice answering our call, no shadow crossing our telescopes, no signal returning through the static, it's easy to feel abandoned, it's easy to imagine ourselves on a tiny island, surrounded by a vast and empty ocean, a castaway species writing messages in bottles, hoping the tide of time carries them somewhere, anywhere. We wonder, if the universe is so vast, why does it feel so quiet? But maybe, like all great silences, it invites us to listen differently, not just outward, but inward. What if solitude isn't a punishment, but a necessary space for becoming? When a child first learns to walk, there's a moment when the parent lets go. That moment, suspended between fear and freedom, is when true growth begins. Perhaps the universe is doing the same. By leaving us alone, it grants us the space to shape our identity, to find not just who's out there, but who we are, without interference, without influence, without a map. Solitude becomes a mirror, a way to understand ourselves before we understand others. Think of the things we've created in the silence: art, music, mathematics, love. These are not cosmic necessities, they are human gifts, and though no one may be watching, we continue to create, not for reward, not for recognition, but because something within us longs to turn the silence into song. In a way, our loneliness is what makes these creations so pure. Solitude also grants us something rare: freedom. If there are no other civilizations telling us what to do, how to behave, or what mistakes not to repeat, then the path forward is entirely ours. We are not just inheriting the universe, we are sculpting it. Every scientific breakthrough, every act of compassion, every tiny step toward the stars, they are the blueprints of a future that is uniquely human. Solitude gives us the brush, and the stars, they are our canvas. Even if no one else is out there, we are not truly alone. We have each other. Every human heart is a beating signal in the dark, every life, a star shining across the span of time, every memory, every dream, constellations formed not in space, but in us. In the end, maybe it doesn't matter whether the cosmos is full or empty. What matters is how we respond to the silence, with fear, or with wonder, with despair, or with curiosity, with resignation, or with hope, because sometimes the greatest beauty lies not in what we find, but in how we keep searching. Where is everybody? That one, deceptively simple question, posed by physicist Enrico Fermi, has echoed through the corridors of science, philosophy, and the soul for decades. If the universe is so ancient, so vast, and so filled with the ingredients for life, then why haven't we heard anything? No voices, no messages, no visitors, not even a whisper. This is the paradox. But maybe it's more than a scientific puzzle. Maybe it's a mirror held up to the human condition. When we ask, where is everybody? Are we really asking something deeper? Are we truly alone? Do we matter? Is anyone listening? In that silence, we don't just hear the absence of others, we hear the echo of our own longing, longing to be part of something greater, longing to not be the only ones, longing for connection across time and space. The paradox hurts not because the math doesn't add up, but because the silence cuts to something deeply human. We don't want the stars to be indifferent, we want them to care. Yet, even in that silence, we reach, we build telescopes to scan the skies, we send golden records into the void, we whisper our hopes through radio waves, never knowing if they'll ever be heard. We write stories of distant civilizations, we dream of first contact, we imagine what it means to not be the only ones, and then act like we already aren't. This is the human spirit. Faced with an empty sky, we do not retreat. We create, we question, we explore. Our loneliness does not paralyze us, it propels us. Maybe the answer to Fermi's paradox isn't out there, maybe it's in us. Maybe there is no one else, not yet, or not anymore, or not ever, and maybe that makes our role even more sacred. If we are the only voice in the void, then we carry a precious responsibility, to be the storytellers of the universe, to witness, to wonder, to care. Fermi's question may remain unanswered, but how we choose to live in its shadow, that is the true test of our spirit. There is beauty in not knowing, in asking questions that may never be answered, in holding space for awe, even in the absence of clarity. The silence between the stars may be vast, but it is not empty, it is full of meaning, because we are here to notice it. In the end, Fermi's paradox is not a void, it is a canvas, and the way we choose to respond to it, with courage, with creativity, with compassion, paints the universe with our soul. So, are we alone? After all the data, the paradoxes, the possibilities, the theories, the dreams? This is the question we return to. And the truth? We don't know, not yet. The sky hasn't answered, the stars haven't whispered back, no probes have landed in our backyards, no signals have pierced the cosmic noise, but in that silence, we have found something else. Maybe the most important part of the question is not whether we're alone, but that we dared to ask it at all. to look into the endless void and say, "Is anyone out there?" That is not the action of a meaningless species on a meaningless rock. That is a sign of consciousness, of curiosity, of courage. In asking, we define ourselves. We are not just matter drifting through space, we are minds reaching beyond it. Some say the universe is empty, others say we just haven't looked long enough, or listened the right way, or lived long enough to notice. Maybe we're not ready for the answer, or maybe the answer isn't ready for us. But here's what we do know: we are the only beings, as far as we can tell, who wonder about their place in the universe. That makes us extraordinary, whether we're first, last, or in between. Whether the galaxy is teeming with life, or waiting for us to awaken it. In a universe 13.8 billion years old, we are here. In a galaxy of 100 billion stars, we found one. On a planet of oceans and fire and sky, we opened our eyes and asked, why? We built cities. We painted caves. We split atoms. We sailed to the moon, and still. We wonder. That spirit, is not nothing, it is everything. So, are we alone? We don't know, but we are not without purpose. We are not without wonder. We are not without each other, and maybe. Just maybe. That's enough, for now, until we find a voice from the stars. We become that voice, until we meet another mind. We cherish our own, until we know what else is out there. We take care of what is here, because we are the universe made conscious, and we are listening, always. Thank you for spending this journey with us. Sleep well, dream deep, and until next time, good night, traveler.